In some Islamic societies today, there is discussion and debate on the subject of taxation, as is known to the material world. Does the Jamaat have any defined views on the subject, and how do we relate it to zakat?
Taxation is the right of the government to run itself. This is the fundamental philosophy of taxation. The government has some responsibilities to discharge and creates order and looks, theoretically, not that actually governments do that, but theoretically they are supposed to dispense justice and see that rights are kept and looked after, and one group of people with certain rights does not interfere with another group of people with certain rights, or the community having certain rights does not interfere with individual rights, and so on and so forth. All this requires coercion, because a state is not built on a voluntary commitment basis. So coercion must go with the concept of state. And for coercion you have to have a police, you have to have an army to defend the state against other philosophies and other groups and other countries, geographical divisions and so on. So that is also an expenditure. Then dispensation of justice requires an organization. You have to have expenditure there. Then the common weal is to be looked after. The community has certain rights as such, and they should be served by the community, and the government is representative of the community. So the taxation system is a direct result of a state. You can't consider a state without taxation. And because the different states require different things and they are situated at different levels of development, so taxation of state cannot be defined to suit every state. So no definition can be given for any taxation which would suit the requirements of every state, because it all depends on how much responsibility a state has taken on its shoulders. Islam defines certain fundamental responsibilities. Those responsibilities, if met by the income of zakat, then it's well and good. But if not met, the responsibilities will be met, and Islam permits the state to levy taxes to the extent that they are able to discharge their responsibilities towards the state. State, that is the government towards the state. They are two different things. When I talk of this taxation, I mean a government levies taxes for the purpose of serving the state. And that is not only permissible, but it becomes imperative in Islam, because the objectives of governments are mentioned very clearly and laid down. And no check is mentioned as far as their earning is concerned, only if by way of discharging their duty they have to levy taxes. They have every right to do so. Because things are changeable from time to time, from situation to situation, from economic development of one state at one time and from the economic development of the same state at another time. All these various factors come into play, so no definite formula could be given for a tax. Now this tax, zakat, has a religious character, while Islamic concept of state is much wider than just the Muslim concept of religious duties and obligations. Islam mentions non-Muslims in the state and admonishes the Muslim state to look after their needs and to dispense justice. So that shows that they have also some responsibilities which have not been covered by zakat. So to claim that zakat is comprehensive system of taxation in Islam, which covers everything, is totally wrong. Otherwise, what would be the position of the non-Muslims in the state? They would be just at the receiving end of the benefits and not at the discharging end of responsibilities. So it's obviously wrong.